Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. So this is going to be a video on generating reports from multiple worksheets and workbooks. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about in this video is copying worksheets. So we can use an existing worksheet as a starting point for creating another one, okay? So duplicates all values, formulas, and formats into the new worksheet, leaving the original worksheet intact. We can edit, reformat, and enter the new content as needed. Okay, so here we see an example of sort of the multiple worksheets here. So with the workbook to move or copy is listed here. In this case, it's NP-EX5 Tibetan. Before the sheet, these are the worksheets in the selected workbook. So these are all the little kind of tabs at the bottom that you could select. And then if we create a copy, if we check the box down here, this copies the worksheet rather than moving it. Okay. The copied sheet will be inserted directly before the terms and definition sheet in this example, of course. All right. So arranging multiple workbooks. So we can display all the open workbooks on your screen at the same time if you want. You can easily click amongst the open workbooks to create links as well as quickly compare the contents of worksheets in different workbooks. The layout options we have in Excel are tiled, horizontal, vertical, and what we call cascade. And you'll see an example of these in a second. We can also use synchronized scrolling between the windows. So here we can see an example of tiled. Here is horizontal. Down on the bottom left is vertical. And then cascade is on the bottom right. Probably the most common one I see and would use is tiled. You can also edit several worksheets simultaneously by grouping the worksheets. In a worksheet group, any changes made to one worksheet are automatically applied to all sheets in the group. Same page layout settings apply to all worksheets in the group at the same time. And all worksheets in the group can be printed at once, which is a nice feature. Saves you a little bit of time on printing. So here we can see an example of the worksheet group. So the title bar indicates that worksheets are grouped. You notice up here, it doesn't just say NPX5 Tibetan, it says group right after it. That's how you know it's operating in group mode. The sheet tab scrolling buttons are at the bottom, so you can kind of use these left and right arrows to, scroll across the tabs. And the active sheet in the group is the one that's kind of highlighted in green in this case, right? Grill 501. We can also write 3D references in the worksheets if we wanted to. This helps us reference cells in other worksheets. So applying 3D references to formulas and functions can be used in any Excel formula and function. And you can also create flexible 3D references by using what we call wildcards. So here, if we look in the sort of the address bar here, this calculates the sum of the cell B5 values in the grill 501 through grill 50 worksheets. So you can see kind of what I typed in equals sum, open parentheses, and then you put in the worksheet information there and close parentheses, and you can just hit enter and it would do it for you. And then notice in cell B6 we've got the total food sales from the 8 franchises, which again is being driven by the formula that we entered in the top here. Now, when creating formulas in a workbook, reference data in other workbooks by creating a link between the workbooks. So unlike with worksheets, there's no such thing as a workbook group, okay? You can specify only one workbook at a time. Now, to speed up the process of entering an external reference, as well as to avoid a mistake, you can begin entering the formula and then use your mouse to select the cell or cell range from an already opened workbook. So here again, we can see in the address bar, the external reference to cell B5 in the profit and loss worksheet of the Support X5 2023 workbook. And then here you can see below it, we've got the profit and loss values from that workbook. Now, if both the destination and source workbooks are currently open, any changes you make to data in the source workbook will also be reflected in the destination workbook. Now you can view and edit the Excel security settings by clicking File on the ribbon, clicking Options in Backstage View, and then just simply click Trust Center in the Excel Options dialog box. And again, that's where you can go and check out the Excel security settings. Now, a list of all links in your workbook is available in the Edit Links dialog box. So for each link, the Edit Links dialog box shows the following information. You'll see source, you'll see type, you'll see update, and you'll see status. Now, managing workbook links. You cannot undo the break link action. To restore the link, you must re-enter the external reference formulas, which can be a bit of a pain. Now, deciding when you should use the link workbooks. So the questions you should ask yourself are really as follows. And this isn't an exhaustive list. The first one is a large workbook too difficult to use? Can separate workbooks share a common design and structure? Can information from different workbooks be summarized? And can source workbooks continually be updated? And will the source workbooks be available to the destination workbook? Now, a hyperlink is a text string or graphic image connected to a wide variety of resources, including websites, files on your computer, such as Word docs, PowerPoint presentations, text files, and PDFs, just to name some examples, cells and cell ranges within the current workbook, email addresses, and new documents created specifically as the source of the hyperlink. Now, linking to a location within a workbook, or you can also link it to an email address. Clicking a linked email address automatically opens the user's email program to a new message with your email address and a preset subject line already inserted. So you could think of that as a bit of a time saver. So here you can kind of see some of the sort of hyperlink examples here. So we have a link to a source file or web page here. If this is a link to a location in the current workbook, create new document creates a new document and links to it. Or you can, like I said, you can link to an email address. Now, a named range can refer to any cell or cell range within the workbook. So you can replace a reference such as sheet B1, B7, B43 with the more descriptive name sales data 2024. Also helps people makes it easier for people to find it, right? You can also define a name range. The simplest way to define a name range or a named range is to select a range and enter the name in the name box. By default, Excel treats name ranges as absolute cell references, which of course is a good thing. You can also use named ranges in formulas. So a name range can be used in place of a cell reference in any Excel formula or function. So the 3D reference in the formula, in this example, sum sales data E4, E20, can just simply be replaced with equals sum sales figures. Again, easier to find, more intuitive. We can also determine the scope of name ranges. So the local scope is used to avoid name conflicts that would occur when the same name is duplicated across multiple worksheets. Using defined names in existing formulas. Once you've defined a name range, you can have Excel replace all cell references in formulas and functions with the equivalent name. So here's an example, right? So we have cost of goods sold percent entered in the name box right up here. And then below we can see cost of goods sold percent, that's COGS percent, named range references cell C5 in the terms and definitions worksheet. All right, setting up a workbook template. So any workbook can be turned into a template by just deleting all of the current data, leaving only the formulas and design elements. The data is left blank for end users to fill in at a later date when they start creating their own documents. Creating a workbook based on a template. So there's different ways to create a workbook based on a template, which we will likely dive in more in detail on that in a future video. So here we can kind of see an example here. The data values to be entered by the user. You can see here like food sales, beverage sales. You could enter those. Obviously, total sales would be a sum of these two. Same with cost of goods sold. And then we also have payroll costs at the bottom. Just again, just by ways of example. The formulas are already built into the workbook, so we don't have to, type all those in. And then we can also put instructions on the right, which help the user successfully complete the workbook. So it's really like a kind of a one-all like turnkey, like here is everything you need to put in. Just enter it in the cells. One thing we haven't talked about in this, but we probably will in a future video, is you can also protect cells, so it kind of stops people typing stuff in, inadvertently into cells, maybe like messing up formulas and stuff like that. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in a future video. Take care.